We tend to trust our eyes, but what do you do when a piece of undeniable physical evidence sits right in front of you and it completely contradicts everything you've been taught about how the world works? Take a look at a story from the first century. A man who has been blind since birth is sitting on the street. The immediate assumption from the people passing by, even the disciples, is that someone must be to blame. They ask whether the man sinned, or if his parents sinned, to cause this condition. The question reflects a strict theological framework of the era, where every physical affliction had to fit into a neat moral box. If you were suffering, society viewed it as a direct cosmic punishment for a specific wrongdoing. We naturally gravitate towards this kind of logic. A universe where suffering is assigned strictly by merit might be cruel, but it is orderly. We use dogma to shield ourselves from the terrifying reality that tragedy can strike without reason. Jesus immediately rejects the premise. He states clearly that neither the man nor his parents sinned. Instead, the blindness exists so that the works of God can be demonstrated through him. The condition is repurposed from a divine punishment into an active opportunity. He then takes dry earth, mixes it with his own saliva to make a thick clay, and smears it over the man's eyes. He tells him to go wash in the nearby pool of Siloam. The man follows the instructions, washes the mud away, and for the first time in his life, he has his sight. From a storytelling perspective, the central physical problem of the text is resolved almost immediately. The blindness is cured before the narrative barely gets going. That early resolution leaves a vacuum. The tension shifts away from the physical ailment and onto the community, who are suddenly forced to process a reality that shatters their worldview. This chart maps the story's chiasma structure. Tracking spiritual clarity, we start bottom left. The man relays physical facts. Jesus applied clay. Interrogated, he refines his understanding, declaring him a prophet. Ultimately, he abandons debate for raw experience. Whereas I was blind, now I see. The intense societal scrutiny failed to break his story. Instead, the friction stripped away his confusion, forcing his perception of reality to become impeccably sharp. Back at the top left, the Pharisees begin at the absolute peak of institutional certainty and presumed enlightenment. But they hit a cognitive roadblock. Jesus healed on the Sabbath. This directly violates their strict regulatory code for allowable behavior. Faced with evidence that contradicts their rules, they experience massive cognitive dissonance. They pivot to a defensive posture, dragging the man's parents in and attempting to intimidate them into denying the miracle entirely. When the healed man points out the absurdity of their logic, they suffer a total intellectual collapse. They abandon their own theological training, resort to attacking his character by declaring he was born in sin, and permanently expel him from the community. A rigid power structure will consistently reject empirical truth if acknowledging that truth requires dismantling the system that gives them authority in the first place. After the dust settles and the man is cast out, Jesus deliberately tracks him down in the street. Here, the man's upward trajectory reaches its apex. He moves past his fierce logical defense and shifts into profound spiritual recognition, simply stating, "Lord, I believe." This sets up Jesus' concluding paradox. He explains his purpose. He came into the world for judgment, so that those who do not see might gain their sight, and those who currently see might be made blind. Some of the Pharisees overhear this and immediately go on the defensive, asking, "Are we blind also?" Jesus confirms it. He tells them that if they were actually blind, they would have no sin. But because they loudly insist that they already see, their guilt remains. This dynamic highlights the illusion of knowledge. It is a psychological trap where the absolute certainty that you already know everything becomes the ultimate barrier to learning anything new. Dogmatic arrogance spans across centuries. To maintain true vision, you need the intellectual humility to let raw, lived reality shatter your most comfortable assumptions.